Oh, God, what's good? SK74 gang. Nah, I'm on some BS. Well, how y'all feeling today? You feel me? Your boy, you see the title. I got another review. You know what I mean? The story of FBG Duck, aka Big Clout. So, I don't know how his story really started off. I mean, I know about his music here and there and shit, but I don't know how his story starts. So we're gonna see that right now. Let's do that.
Pick your mans up.
Just because people used to come through shooting us every day. And this block, words can't even explain, man. Can't even explain.
Hey, man. This Smoke Valley on Fireway on money. Young Money, man. They in the building.
600 boy LA, man. LA Capone, man. Get it to him, man. OC2 boys, man. Team
Number 9, man. Number 9 shooter. You hear me?
Hey, beat this little bitch. Yeah. What the fuck is wrong with you? Hey, I am Brick Squad. Brick Squad, what the fuck is you talking about?
You have to be willing to die or go to jail for 100 years if that's the lane that you're stepping in. You have to understand that whether you 15, 16, you got to think like a man. You know what I'm saying?
Don't be in it. Oh, you're not? Why does everybody say you're only 16 years old?
They say what they want to say.
How old are you?
300.
The story of FBG Duck.
Of course I know motherfuckers want to kill me. I'm a very disrespectful person. I know what I did in my lifetime. I ain't gonna go nowhere I ain't want it, because I ain't gonna play with my life. Because my life mean a lot.
FBG Duck was born on December 6, 1993 in Chicago, Illinois. Duck, whose real name was Carlton Weekly, grew up on the low end, on the south side of Chicago, which is one of the worst sides of the country and the city. A large part of Duck's family actually grew up on THF 46's territory. For example, Brick's dad was from THF 44. FBG Duck had a huge family. Duck's mother said that her mother, who died in 2008, had 9 grandchildren and 151 great-grandchildren. Duck had cousins all over the east, south and west side of Chicago. Among others, Duck was a cousin of Raheem from THF 46, who was killed by Duck's close friend 051 Melly. He was also a cousin of Cairo from No Limit, Lil Scrap from Mob, who was killed by Lil Boo and Just Blow from 600, Lil J from STL/EBT, Kobe Mac from Taekwon World, who was killed by Gleesh from O Block and Cap 12 from 600. He was also cousin with Lil Mike and the successful rapper Ruga from Mob. Just like I wrote before, Duck grew up on the low end in the south side of Chicago. The Ida B. Wells projects to be exact. It was called the low end, because it was an area where there were low-income projects. It was and still is considered as one of the most dangerous areas in Chicago. Those projects were later torn down and replaced with new houses. When that happened, Duck moved with his grandma, mother, brothers and sisters to 63rd and St. Lawrence. Duck lived with his grandma, his mom, his brothers, his sisters, and a few of his cousins in a house. Duck said in an interview that his grandma had a lot of money, so she could feed all the people in the house. He said that he and his family and cousins always had fun there. They always used to do many activities, such as basketball and football. He missed those times, he said. Duck moved around a lot during his childhood. When his grandmother moved, he and large parts of the family followed. He was super close to his grandma. Duck said there could be 12 to 15 people living with her. Like I said earlier, Duck's grandma died in 2008. She never got to see Duck become a rapper and become a millionaire. Duck said she was called the queen of the low end.
That's fucked up. You ain't get to see it. That nigga made a life for him before he left.
Like I said earlier, Duck had an extremely large family and relatives. I will try to break it down to you. Because it is so large, it was incredibly difficult to know who were the siblings and who were the cousins, but I think I got it right. Duck had 5 brothers and 3 sisters. There were 9 in total, now there are only 6 left. Duck's brothers was Jermaine Robinson, also known as Brick, who was the oldest of the siblings and was shot and killed in 2017 by Trey 5 and HK from a block. Sheldon Lewis from Mob, also known as Sheldon. Jameel Thomas from Taekwon World, also known as Dayski, Will Robinson, and Chris Youngsta from OTG. Duck also had 3 sisters in total. The youngest sister, whose name was LaAndrea Y, died tragically in a fire in 2014 when she was only 3 years old. Rest in peace. The 2 other sisters are named Lashae Brown and Shiira Akeva Weekly. Creed Dadon and FBG Day Day was his cousins, not brothers, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a lot of that is. Damn. You know, grandma house was full of niggas. That's how it used to be back in the day. Motherfuckers everywhere. Kids all over the crib.
Carlton grew up without a father figure. His father was locked up his entire life, which Duck could see as a good thing, as he himself said that he matured faster, learned to take responsibility early and learned to think like a man. However, children who grow up without a father, especially sons, have often been shown to have negative consequences in life. I'm not saying that's the case in his life though. As a young man, Duck held a grudge against his father, but he kept in touch with him all the time when he was in prison. But just like many other children whose fathers are in prison, many have some kind of anger against them, even though they love them regardless. Duck never wanted to tell what his father was locked up for. Duck knew what he was locked up for, but he did not know the story behind it. He said that his father wanted to tell him the story many times, but that he did not want to know. However, he said that his father was wrongly convicted, and then whether it is true or not I cannot answer. However, there are many indications that this may be true. Duck's dad got his case to court again in 2018, and was later released 2 years later, 2 days after Duck was shot dead in broad daylight in downtown Chicago. His dad served 24 years in prison. Duck and Brick had different fathers. Brick's father was named William Robinson.
He converted while being locked up. Like he converted.
Because his father was not in the picture in Duck's life, Duck had to take on a lot of responsibility as a teenager and as an adult. He was always there for his brothers, his sisters, many of his cousins and nephews. He was a real family man. He really cared about the children in the area and always wanted them well. The year when it became a trend to dress up as a clown and scare people, Duck and billionaire Black caught a clown in traffic in the neighborhood. They pulled up on him, and Billy actually pointed his gun at him. The clown started running and you hear Duck in the background saying, "There are kids out here. Leave the kids alone." He always put the kids first. His mother and grandmother also took on an extremely large responsibility, not only for their family but also for Duck's friends. Duck's mother was like a mother to many young members of STL/EBT. The mothers always stood up for each other, and many of the mothers from both sides were friends. Among others, Duck's mother was friends with Buka 600's mother. Duck's mother, whose name is Lashina Weekly, was often there for KI, FBG Cash, Young and Bostrell. Many also wonder how Duck got his name. It was actually Lashina who gave him the name. She used to call him Chunky Duck because he was quite chunky as a child.
Get your ass out of there, motherfucker! Don't get the fuck on, nigga! Fuck wrong with you, nigga? Leave these kids alone!
Damn. About to blow his shit.
If you look further back in time, around 2007 to 2009, before STL and EBT became one in the same set, it was actually STL that was the quieter and chill block out of the two. EBT was the block with the most killers and did the most damage. For example, Icy is from EBT, who has multiple bodies. He caught Solomon and Ray from TYMB, True from Zone 7, and Reezy from Wick City, who he shot to death along with 12-year-old Wooski. Chicken and Taki are also from EBT. They both invented DYMB together with C-Ball, when they killed TY from 065 Young Money, who later became TYMB. Taki and Chicken actually got charged with the murder but ended up beating it. Now you also know why STL sometimes drops Ys, but not against 051, even though they also started dropping Ys against 051 after the murder of Duck. Blink is also from EBT. He was the one who drew the first blood between STL/EBT and Wick City, when he killed Fella 2007, who was both the brother of Big Mike from Wick City and Wooski from STL. Big Mike was sentenced in 2017 to 28 years in prison for the murder of Malcolm, and the two attempted murders of Lil Cheeb and Khalil from Willieville, that he committed together with King Von. Around the years 2007 to 2009, STL was most into it with the Young Money blocks. EBT was also into it with the Young Money blocks but was mainly beefing with Wick City and Zone 7. C-Ball, who was the head of STL and who also had good relations with EBT, brought STL and EBT closer, and eventually led to STL getting into it with the Wick. C-Ball was, among others, the brother of both Lil Mark from 051 and Tuka from STL. Their father, Shondale Gregory Sr., also called Big Sko, had 14 children in total. He also has a son from EBT called Lil Sko. Shondale Sr. was shot and killed outside of this apartment in Parkway Gardens, also known as O Block, where he lived. 4 people followed him. As he was on his way to his apartment, he was shot in the chest. Shondale managed to get into the apartment, but died of his injuries before he could call for help. Lil Sko had probably visited him several times, and may have received inside information about where members of O Block are, and that this is why he was killed. However, it is unclear who killed him, but there is much to suggest that it was O Block. C-Ball taught his younger brother, Tuka, to shoot.
Bro, that's how I come from, bro. T-Boy here get shot inside his head. Hey, these niggas right here is straight clouds on my brother grave. Bah, bah, bah.
Before EBT and STL became one in the same set, EBT was part of an alliance that few know about. It was an alliance between all the Eberhard blocks from 62nd to about 72nd. It's just like the SKD alliance back in the days. E Block was also part of this alliance. This was at a time when alliances were a trend, and before that many new sets and subsets began to emerge. When the alliance died out and EBT became one with STL 2009, EBT remained cool with E Block, much thanks to So Icy, who kept them tight. So Icy was the biggest name out of both STL and EBT. He robbed multiple people and popped multiple people. He also had brothers that had big names in the streets. Chicken, who invented DYMB as I told you about earlier, and Wee Wee, who invented Chris World, Chris Way, by killing Lil Chris from TYMB. He was later convicted of the murder of 14-year-old Christopher, and of 2 attempted murders of a 19-year-old and a 12-year-old in connection with the murder. He will be released in 2048. Chicken is still alive but very careful on how he moves. So Icy has moved to Minnesota, and started a family and got a job on a construction site. He is no longer an active member from STL/EBT. By the way, TYMB stands for TY You're My Brother. YMB also stands for Young Money Boys.
Shit. That's some time, bro.
In 2009, STL was started as a set by Dutchie and C-Ball. STL is located on 63rd and St. Lawrence. There have been people who have called it STL before in the 90s, but for the most part it was called Murder Town at that time. Around 2009, when STL was formed, many emigrated from EBT and Jaro's territory to STL. People like KI and FBG Buddha came from Jaro territory and later emigrated to STL. People like Lil P, Dutchie and G.I. Joe came from EBT's territory. For example, Duck was the person who brought Lil J around STL around the year 2010. He met Lil J through Kels and Rose, who were both the younger brothers of Lil 4, whom OD killed along with Boss Top in 2010. Duck brought around a lot of guys from other sets that later became STL. He recruited a lot of members. For example, he was also the one that brought Billionaire Black around STL, who originally came from Jaro but later became Welch World and later STL.
I kind of figured he brought Billy in. Cause he seemed like the only nigga was fucking with Billy. Like, anytime I see a video, it'd be him and Billy, or it'd be him and Ruger, but it'd never be both them motherfuckers. I guess if I find a story on they beef, I'm gonna get on that one. Cause I heard a bit of it, and that shit crazy. Like, if it went for Duck, I think these niggas probably would have been blue each other. Like, dead ass. But anyway, back to it.
There are rumors that Parkway Gardens used to be a GD territory. There is actually a lot of truth in that, however, that is not the whole truth. In the years around 2005 to 2007, the first criminal activities began in Parkway Gardens. However, it was only a loose group of friends. The block had no identity at all. Parkway was neither BD nor GD at that time. Around the years before Parkway Gardens got an identity, there were GDs, BDs and even Black P Stones from the east side, and Mickey Cobras from the low end in the territory. The area at the time used to be so quiet that guys even used to post up outside of the gates, and in front of stores in the area, because they were not involved in any serious conflicts. Parkway Gardens started changing in 2007 when Boss Top, BJ and other guys started to come around.
immerses you in a universe with
The rumor, which also contained a lot of truth, that Parkway Gardens used to be GD, came from Boss Top coming from No Love City, which is a GD set. Him and Spike from No Love City brought with them many people from NLC and moved to Parkway Gardens. Spike was a big trapper in No Love City. He used to trap with a lot of the top guys from NLC like The Godfather, who is an OG from No Love. So before Parkway Gardens became Wick City, it was actually No Love that ran Parkway. Another guy that Spike and Boss Top brought with them was Big A, who would later become one of O Block's top members. Around the year 2007 to 2008, Parkway Gardens began to become more affiliated with the streets and began doing more serious crimes. In 2008, established black disciples began moving into Parkway. It was respected BDs such as Reezy, Bruh, Slick, Willie and Freak. They were all already GDK and refused to change nation. This created a lot of tension between the GDs from No Love City and the BDs. It never led to any shooting, however, it led to many fights between the different groups. Boss Top, BJ and Big later became BD but remained cordial with their old gang No Love. In 2008, Parkway Gardens started beef with Met Boys, and this is where Bruh comes into the picture, which would later change Parkway for good.
I remember seeing that face, but I don't remember on what.
Bruh, who came from 46, often used to be with people like Bezu and Bobo. They all agreed to join THF, after big guys from 46 Terror made THF, aka Trigger Happy Family. Like I told you, Bruh, whose real name is Kenyatta Claire, later moved to Parkway Gardens. Kenyatta brought his beefs he had, because of THF, with him to Parkway Gardens. After Bruh shot at Met Boys later returned, but to Parkway, and shot at him and other people, which meant that people like Boss Top, BJ and Big A also became enemies of Met Boys, because they affiliated them with Bruh and 46. When 051 became a set and became allies with Met Boys, Parkway immediately became die for them, and that's how they started beefing with 051. Around 2009, when more and more BDs started moving into Parkway Gardens, they had to come up with an identity. They came up with Wild, Insane, Crazy, and then added City because it was a trend back then, just like Jaro named their block Jaro City. They later added 3 eyes to throw in the trays in the name, so it became known that it was a BD area now. This was at the same time as STL was formed.
So I go with the 3 eyes.
Before it became Wick City against STL/EBT, it was only King Drive versus King Drive. The alliance SKD, which stood for South King Drive, was not only an alliance but also an entire movement that had a territory from 51st to 62nd. SKD wanted to control Parkway Gardens. They wanted them to follow their rules, which Boss Top and the others did not agree to. It all ended with Boss Top, J Money and others starting robbing and jumping SKD members. SKD, who already played with guns, came to Parkway and blew at them several times. But later, Wick City would also start playing with guns, which led to J Money catching Reggie from SKD and killing him. Later they also killed Anton from SKD. This led to SKD losing a lot of territory. They never took revenge on the Wick, and actually gave up, and eventually SKD faded away. Many old SKD members became EBT and STL instead, and also Jaro City.
So basically they said, nigga, we not gonna come over and fuck with y'all. We gonna go fuck with the other niggas. They ass was trying to take their territory. And them niggas weren't going for it that way, I guess you could say. I don't know. This shit crazy.
Back in 2009 to 2010 when STL/EBT and Wick City started beefing, it usually only ended up with fights with guys from the different sides. STL and EBT used to come to Parkway and fight all the time, often after school and on the streets. One of STL's best fighters was none other than Lil Duck, as he was called back then. Even in Lil Duck's early teens, he was bigger and stronger than most people, even those who were older. Duck was like 6 feet 4 inches in his teens, and was 6 feet 7 inches as an adult. Both he and Chicken from EBT used to beat up people really badly. Duck was a real hothead in his teenage years. He was known as a guy who beat up people badly, slapped them, robbed them, and left them knocked on the street. He really used to terrorize people from the Wick, who were the same age as him. He really had hands. To my knowledge, Duck has never lost a fight or been jumped. There are many in Chicago who claim that they never lost a fight. I know it's expressions that are easy to say, but that are not always true. But that was actually the case with Duck. The Wick shorties were really scared of fighting him, because they knew they'd probably lose and get beat up really bad. He once tried to jump King Von with other STL members at a bus, but Killer Ward saved King Von that time. Duck even choked out Dutchie from STL/EBT once in a friendly fight. Duck started blowing at TYMB before he started shooting up Parkway Gardens. This was the time when TYMB and Wick City actually were cool with each other, and rode on multiple hits together, which made STL feel some type of way. EBT is actually the set that torched TYMB in the beginning of the war. Like I said earlier, the three brothers, IC, Chicken and Wee Wee, terrorized TYMB. In 2009, Chicken killed TY from Young Money Boys, who later renamed himself TYMB in honor of TY's memory. In 2010 Wee Wee killed Chris from TYMB, which would later become Chris World, Chris Way, and so IC killed Solomon from TYMB. After the three murders, TYMB started sliding back on STL and EBT, trying to get revenge. The following year, TYMB scored on STL, a score that would later lead to years of war, years of killing, years of mocking from the BDs, a new generation of ruthless young savages, a BDK movement, and also it would lead to Lil Duck becoming a shooter and a rapper. The 12th of January 2011 was the date when Chicago's gang war on the South Side would change forever. Shondell Gregory Jr., also known as Tuka, was standing on a bus stop on the 600 block of East 63rd Street. TYMB was out sliding in the area, looking to score. They drove past the bus stop where Tuka and two other people were waiting for a westbound 63rd Street bus. One of the two guys were 2-2. When the dark-colored van drove past, Tuka started making DIY signs, and was cracking trays against the people in the car. The people in the van were the brothers Cortez and Courtney, and also Manny, Obama and Face from TYMB. At first they weren't planning to kill him, he was just a kid to them, so they just drove past him. But when they drove past him, and saw what Tuka was doing, they drove forward and then made a U-turn. Then either Cortez, or Courtney, or both, jumped out of the car, and shot Tuka with 7 shots with a silver handgun, most likely a revolver. 2-2 and the other guy ran away while Tuka got shot up. Tuka was found dead on the scene when police and paramedics arrived at the scene. According to 600 Breezy, Tuka's body smoked after being shot. But I do not know if that is true. One can really compare this murder with the shootings in Sarajevo, but on a much smaller scale.
That shit ridiculous.
But what niggas don't know is I finna go, man. I finna go nuts on their ass. That's what thing girl know. But I'm a tough, you feel me? I'm a fuckboy. STL crazy.
You already know.
See, I got the loud right here. You know, it's almost gone, but I don't give a fuck. Cause I'm finna flame up another one.
That nigga fucked up.
Duck and Tuka became friends around 2 years before he got killed. They were super close. Tuka was like what T-Roy was to King Von. They were best friends, even though Tuka was 2 years younger than Duck was. It's sad to say, but Tuka was bound to get killed. He was super disrespectful. Him, Duck and Wooski used to rob and beat up people all the time. They usually robbed people of both weed and money. What they often did was rob older guys, which was usually not so smart, as older people often already played with guns, and had 8 times out of 10 already done dirt. Tuka also used to ride through DYMB shouting things like, "Die while like DY," and "Fuck Lil Mo," who Tuka actually got into it with a few times. Back then, it was not cool for an older guy to kill a 14 to 15-year-old boy. The older only felt that the younger ones who did this did not know better. Unfortunately, that has changed now. Now it is the 14 to 15-year-old boys who are the most dangerous and who are not spared due to their age. Tuka was also good friends with La Capone's sister Lala. Tuka often used to fight with...
It's crazy how the rules change over small shit. Cause it used to be no women and child, but then the children started being the niggas doing it. So I guess that what broke that one. What broke the women though? I don't know. I had to probably look that up and another shit. But I see this one.
Capone and Tay. Lala got angry on Capone since Tuka was one of her best friends. Tuka also used to say to either LA or Tay that he was going to kill them. That's why LA Capone was mocking him in his song, Play for Keeps, where he said, "Shondell, how that hot shit feel," which was roughly meant like, "Look who was killed instead." Duck was actually with both Lala and Tuka, right before he got killed. He told them that he was going to get something, and that he was going to come back to them later. After the murder of Tuka, both 600, DYMB and Wick City started to diss Tuka, though not in the same way as they do nowadays. Believe it or not, but it was actually STL/EBT that started with the smoke.
I know that because it was out of a term in endearment. Man, they turned around and turned it into a term of disrespect.
Tuka line. At the time, it was actually an expression used to honor Tuka. 600, DYMB and Wick City used to say, "F Tuka," and other disrespectful things. It was not until later, when Chief Keef's career began to take off, that he began to use the term, "Smoking Tuka," that it became a way of being disrespectful. So Keef basically took STL/EBT's expression, which was a way of honoring, and instead changed to something super disrespectful, which would later spread around the world. Later, even STL/EBT, Jaro, Taekwon World, 051 and all of Chicago would start using smoking a dead up, in a way to be disrespectful to their enemies. There are several old videos where members from STL/EBT say, "We Smoking Tuka." Chief Keef, who is one of the world's most influential artists, got many fans to say, "Smoking Tuka," fans who in many cases did not know what it really meant, and thought it was slang for weed. Chief Keef also got artists to say it. World stars like NLE Choppa from Memphis, Young M.A. from New York, and Lil Pump from Miami have used the term several times. These are people who had nothing to do with Chicago. Duck and Yella banned Young M.A. to perform in Chicago. Later, Young M.A. actually apologized to FBG Duck and explained that she did not know.
He was infamous for that shit. Like, he was making niggas on their own camera say sorry, nigga, if I beat your ass. This nigga ridiculous.
What it meant. She said that she used it as a slang for weed. FBG Duck acknowledges this in an interview, where he said that if he sees someone who used the term, he will smack them. He also said that he accepts Young M.A.'s apology, and said, "That's all I wanted."
Simple shit, but he got his respect for that shit. I mean, she ain't say that shit like that no more. She better say another motherfucker. They still probably come get her ass.
Hold on, let me light your people up real quick.
Yeah. What you smoking on? Tuka?
Your people. Hey, look, we been smoking Tuka before they made it a bad slang. You hear me?
This bitch ass. I don't fuck with that nigga.
Nah, we be in the back, we smoking Tuka. Gold pieces, shout out.
I have no problem with Chicago. Never have, never did, never will. I have no reason to. Period.
If you have an hour this week,
That
you can learn
tone
100 songs on the piano.
Real quick, tone change. I like that shit.
Period. I have no reason to. I listen to a lot of artists out of Chicago. It's all love. Period. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. It's all love. Period. I have no issues. But like I said, again, I said my apologies to Tuka. I never knew who Tuka was. I'm going to say it again. I don't know who Tuka is. Never knew who he was. Just finding this out the other day. My apologies. My meaning on it was some loud smoke. I said it in the line. I smoke hookah like it's Tuka blowing jet clouds. And I only get high to bring the stress down. My reference was to weed. So for people to take it out of context is crazy.
My son will find that Tuka, shorty. Alright, guy.
There's a whole bunch of Tuka here.
How you doing, man?
Free weed here.
What many do not know, or understand, is that many of today's rappers were and are big fans of Chicago drill, just like us regular fans. They follow the murders, the gangs, and everything around the music, just like us. Many rappers have followed the Chicago drill since the beginning. People like Lil Pump and 6ix9ine and often listened to Chief Keef and L.A. Capone back in 2012, when they were younger. Like many fans, they also choose a side, and basically everyone has chosen to follow that side with the most successful rappers, which is the BD side. Lil Durk and Chief Keef have made the entire hip-hop industry blackball the GD rappers. For example, as everyone knows, FBG Duck was heavily blackballed by nearly all the mainstream rappers. That's why he always said he was not cool with other rappers like that, because they were like puppies to Durk and Keef. The only mainstream rapper that did something with FBG Duck was 21 Savage, but it hardly got noticed by anyone. G Herbo also hopped on the Slide remix, and supposedly did a verse, but for some reason it was never released.
Yeah, I heard the remix.
Now back to 2011, after the murder of his best friend, Duck was full of anger. He wanted revenge, and would come close several times to scoring on TYMB. He often slid with people like Lucky and Can't Get Right, who later became the main guys who would protect Duck at any cost. Duck also often slid with Wooski, Boss Trell, KI and of course Cash and Young. Duck was nearly only sliding on DYMB in the beginning for obvious reasons. To my knowledge, Duck has not killed anyone from DYMB, or anyone at all. He did, however, manage to shoot multiple people, and it's safe to say that Duck was out to kill. For example, Duck managed to shoot Demo, Jr., and Little from TYMB. He really hated them, and was out looking for the brothers Cortez and Courtney all the time. Just because you do not have a body, does not mean that you are not a shooter. Rappers such as G Herbo have never been seen as a shooter because he has not killed anyone, but just like Duck, Herbo has also shot multiple people, and been out to kill, in the front line with NLMB's main killers. I'm pretty sure both Duck and G Herbo would have had a body, if they did not start making music. After OD and Boss Top from Wick City killed Lil 4 from Jaro City, who was super close to many members from STL/EBT, both Jaro, STL/EBT and Mob were out for revenge. There were many reasons that led to OD being killed. It was partly because he killed Lil 4, partly it was because Wick City was mocking Tuka all the time, partly it was Tuka's birthday, and partly because OD had said, F Tuka, several times. OD actually got jumped on a bus for this, by Michi and some other STL members. But one of the big reasons why OD was killed, was that Wick City was shooting up STL/EBT earlier in the day. Apparently, KI and FBG Butter were the two people they shot at. On the 10th of August 2011, STL/EBT would take revenge on Wick City for all the mocking towards Tuka, the murder of Lil 4, and for what happened earlier on that day. Since it was Tuka's birthday, STL/EBT, Mob and Jaro City were out in big numbers. After the shooting that occurred on STL's block, STL, Mob and Jaro members went to Parkway Gardens, also known as Wick City, looking to fight or score.
Dang.
On August 10, 2011, the war between STL/EBT and Wick City would change, and worsen forever. Like I said, STL/EBT, Jaro and Mob were out in big numbers. People like King Lil J, Boss Trell, KI, FBG Butta, Wooski, Dutchie, Lil B and FBG Duck, all from STL/EBT, Tutu and Lil P from Jaro, and Beans and Scrap from Mob. They all went to Parkway Gardens, looking to either fight or score. They spotted none other than OD Perry, who was one of Wick City's top members at the time. OD was on his bike in the 400 block of East 64th Street when they spotted him. 2 or 3 shooters then ran up to him and shot him with one shot in his buttock, and one shot in the neck, which exited through the left shoulder. OD fell off his bike, and the members from Jaro, STL/EBT and Mob fled the scene both in cars and on foot. OD was taken to Strodger Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 12:18 p.m. Thursday. Wick City would later name their block O Block in OD's honor, just like STL/EBT named their block, Tukaville, to honor their fallen member Tuka. There are many divided opinions about who actually fired the shots that killed OD, just as with all other murders. No one can know who it was except those who did it. It has long been known that it was KI and FBG Butter who shot OD, but others have said that it was also either Beans or Scrap from Mob. This has been stated by Ruga in the song, Exposing Me, where he said, "They don't even know who made the O." Also other members of Mob have stated the same thing. What strengthens that rumor is that one of the guns used in the murder of OD was the same gun that was used in the murder of Baldy from 600, who was killed by Mob. At the same time, there are tweets from Wooski, among others, which say, "Shout out to them twins that made O Block," and even tagged KI and Buddha in the post. In a police report from 2016, however, it was stated by a witness, probably FBG Buddha, that it was KI and Bostrel who shot OD, and that they were the suspects in the murder. However, this can only be a way for Buddha to pin the body on two dead people, so that he himself can get away. The case is now closed after that report, because both of the suspected killers are dead. However, all indications are that KI was one of the shooters that actually hit OD, and that either Scrap or Beans also hit him, considering that the same gun was used in the murder of Baldy. Butter was probably also shooting, and thought he hit him, but did not, or the other way with KI. There is a rumor that KI ran up to OD, and took his silver revolver when he was lying on the ground. Whether it's true or not, I do not know, but she has a picture with an exact same revolver.
I don't know what to say at this moment. Story plot got a little bit big. Twist got a little bit bigger. I guess you would say.
Fuck a OD.
Fuck him. And
Fuck a
Sherrod
Baldy.
too. Sherrod just got his ass smoked. Don't be
Fuck
the
a
next.
Baldy. Fuck a D-Thing. Fuck a Shaq.
And she right now that shit is
Hey,
but
shit
we
not
in this bitch.
"2011 was not only the year when both O Block and Tukaville were created, it was also the year when FBG Duck started rap, and the rap group Flyboy Gang, also known as FBG, started. The ones that started FBG were Duck, Young, Cash, Dutchy, Lil J and Billionaire Black. They started the group because they all liked to rap. Young and Dutchy had been rapping since 2008. They came up with the name Flyboy Gang because they thought they were the flyest guys in the school. FBG would also later be known as Clout Boys, and Duck would later be known as Big Clout. Duck's mother has said that Duck used to rap throughout his childhood, both at home and at school. At that time, however, he did not take it seriously, but used freestyle for fun. In 2011, however, he would start raping for real and releasing songs. However, Duck was still heavy in the streets. He still shot at people, robbed people, beat up people and sold drugs. Duck started to release music in early 2011 with Billionaire Black, and also released his own freestyles. On the night of August 11th, 2011, just hours after O.D. Perry was shot to death, Duck released a freestyle filmed at 63rd and St. Lawrence. However, both the freestyle and the video were probably recorded earlier, but for Duck to release it a few hours after O.D. was shot to death made Wick City furious, and Duck made himself a big target. Duck's career only went up after that, and continued to release songs constantly. He had his crowd of friends that also rapped, that he put on through his entire career. He wanted everyone around him to succeed. Duck became the biggest rapper the GD side ever had, together with JoJo, who unfortunately got killed in 2012. After the murder of JoJo, Duck really took the lead role and kept JoJo's legacy and name alive. He took JoJo's BDK movement further and kept it alive. He made big numbers on all his music. Although he did not make as much money as rappers like Lil Durk and Keef, much because of blackballing, he made more money than any other rapper from the GD side. This meant a lot to their side, and especially to STL/EBT. Duck was one of those who really made sure all the guys around him were doing well. Not least, he was able.
Hey, he did say a lot of his music, motherfuckers locked up and around him gonna eat. That's respect, though.
To provide STL members with weapons, which helped them a lot.
Considering he wasn't making what other motherfuckers is making, he was still looking out. I mean, that's a different move for most motherfuckers.
But just like I said before, Duck made himself a really big target. He was the face of the BDK movement, face of O Blocks and 600 Ops, the bread maker for his gang, and the face of all the mocking against the BD side. O Block, 600 and even TYMB really wanted him gone at any price. Duck really carried the entire block on his back. Because Duck made himself such a big target, he had a few near-death moments several times throughout his life. Duck has been shot on 3 different occasions. In June 2013, he was shot in his left calf. Shortly after being shot in his calf, he got shot in the ankle, and on the 15th of June 2018 he got shot again. On the same day that Can't Get Right, and the innocent bystander Troy, got shot to death by Muwap and Duke from O Block. Many believed, and still believe, that Duck was shot in the same situation as CGR was killed, but that is wrong. Duck was shot in the shoulder in a completely different situation on the south side in the West Woodlawn neighborhood, by either DYMB or 600. Some say it was Cap FCK-12 who shot him, while others say it was TYMB. This really shows how bad the ops wanted him. It is not very common to be shot on 3 different occasions, especially if you yourself have not killed anyone. Duck was so important to STL/EBT, even though he did not put in the same work in the streets as, for example, Wooski. He put in huge work in the background for STL/EBT. Duck was also stabbed in the stomach by his ex-girlfriend Corey, but that had nothing to do with the opposition.
I wouldn't know what the fuck that was about. Yeah, I got stabbed by this honey. I remember that shit.
Oh gosh!
She was that damn dirty. That's fucked up.
Just like I mentioned before, Duck was really a shooter. He was out to kill people when he was deep in the streets. Many people think that successful rappers stop being active in the streets because they are famous and have a lot of money. That's true to some extent, but rappers who have really been deep in streets such as Duck, Herbo, Durk and Chief Keef, they would not hesitate to shoot someone if they needed to. We saw it when Lil Durk and King Von almost shot Alexander to death in Atlanta. We saw it when Chief Keef and Tato robbed his producer Ramsey the Great. If you think a rapper would hesitate to shoot just because he is famous and has money, you are highly mistaken. When the word got out on the streets that T-Roy was getting released from jail in 2016, it was a mission for Taekwon World, STL/EBT and Jaro City to kill him. He was their highest priority. They really wanted to get rid of him. before he did more damage to them. Duck took it upon himself and tried to get him away for good. He was out sliding in a car with some STL members. They suddenly spotted T-Roy coming out from a store. They pulled up next to him, and Duck stuck out his arm and shot T-Roy in his hand, before T-Roy managed to escape the multiple shots that were coming towards him. After nearly killing T-Roy, Duck became an even bigger target than he already was.
That's what I'm saying. Was he mocking him? Like, nigga, you only shot my hand?
On June 17th, 2017, Duck's life and family would change forever. 2017 was the year when Get Back Gang was out to kill any member from the opposition they saw. They circulated in 2 full cars on STL's block. They spotted Duck's brother and his mother's oldest child, FBG Brick, and his cousin Kobe Mack from Taekwondo World. Gleesh and Cap FCK-12 shot Kobe multiple times, while Brick tried to run away, but Trey 5 and HK jumped out of the car, chased him and shot him in the head. Duck got the call from his mother, and when he arrived at the scene, he saw his brother and cousin lying dead on the ground. He immediately broke down in tears with his mother and sister. After the murder of Brick and Kobe, Duck was full of anger. He has mentioned several times that he was close to getting back in the streets for real again, to take revenge on O Block, but his mother begged him not to try to take revenge, but instead avenge through music. But I assure you that Duck did slide after Brick was killed. I do not know if he actually shot up any block, but he did slide. Duck and Brick were super close. They were the closest of the brothers, always around each other and making music together.
That's fucked up. I mean, I did see some of this. I do remember hearing that shit. That shit crazy.
After the murder of Brick and Kobe, Duck got revenge on O Block through the music, just as his mother wanted. It was after that situation that Duck went into the studio and recorded the song, Slide, which would become one of Duck's and Chicago's biggest drill hits of all time. Duck really put his anger in the song, and you could hear his pain and anger in the song. It was the perfect song to get hyped to, much like I Don't Like by Chief Keef. Slide was played all around Chicago, and in other cities in the States, at both home parties and in clubs. As we speak, Slide has over 58 million views on YouTube. It was this song that made Duck really get the recognition he deserved, after being constantly releasing music for nearly a decade. It was, among other things, this song that made Duck sign a deal with Sony record label, for around $2 million. He was really getting money now. He was touching the same money that Von, Keith and Dirk also touched. Once King Von's career took off, he started mocking FBG Duck more, both on social media and in songs. For example, Took Her to the O is a complete diss track towards Duck, however a different type of diss track. He made a whole song about a story where he was killing Duck over a girl, and that Duck threw bricks at his car, while murking it on his dead brother Brick. It really was a disrespectful track. Von hated Duck and has done so since the war began between O Block and STL. This was not a new or fabricated hatred between the two. It had been going on for nearly a decade. Von hated him for all the diss tracks, especially when he mentioned T-Roy, and of course for shooting T-Roy in the hand, and for providing guns and money to his block. Von wanted him gone, Already back in 2012, Von was looking to kill Duck, and actually shot up his house on 2 different occasions. But Von never got a chance to catch him lacking. Duck had the same anger towards King Von. He hated him for all the damage he did to his friends, for dissing both him, his mother, his brother Brick, and all the other people Von dissed, in his both street career and his rap career. Both Duck and Ruga actually had a price on King Von's head, back when both were alive. Once King Von became too famous to risk his career to kill Duck, he would pay his O Block shorties to do it for him. On the 4th of August 2020, FBG Duck's life career would come to an end. Duck was going to the Gold Coast of Chicago. This is one of the most luxurious parts of Chicago, where all the fancy shops are located. It was in broad daylight that Duck and his girlfriend went to downtown Chicago on Oak Street to buy cloth for his son's birthday, which was coming up on the 11th of August. A few hours earlier, Duck had written a suspicious post on Facebook, where he said, "People got me F up. On my brother grave, a dude gone cedo." This may very well mean nothing, but there are many indications that it has something to do with the murder. A few minutes before the murder, a witness saw 2 people, probably Duck and Day Day, the one who got shot with Duck and his girlfriend, being chased on the street by a man with a gun. The 2 people ran into the Dolce & Gabbana store on Oak Street. A moment later, Duck walked out of the store with Day Day. They probably thought the ones that tried to hurt them were gone, and that they abandoned the mission. This is a very reasonable thought, as this is one of the most luxurious parts of Chicago. In broad daylight, it's cameras and witnesses everywhere. When Duck and Day Day came out from the store, 2 cars pulled up next to them. One dark Ford Fusion and a gray Chrysler 300. See thing, Zal, DQ. Muwop from a block jumped out of the car, started shooting Duck, his girlfriend and Day Day. Duck's gun jammed up so he did not manage to shoot back. However, his girlfriend fired back at the shooters without hitting anyone. Duck was shot around 15 times, Day Day was shot in the back and leg, and his girlfriend was struck 2 times in her arm. The shooters then jumped back into the car, and sped away from the scene, without leaving any leads.
Dang.
Erica and Brad, a man and woman, were seriously injured in this shooting, but their friend, a rising Chicago rapper, did not survive.
His store surveillance captured the horrific sound.
I feel like they just let his ass lay out there and die. Like, I ain't trying to hear that shit. They let that man lay out there and die. They was some bullshit ass motherfuckers for that. I let you know the city don't give a fuck about you either. But, yeah, that's fucked up. They let him sit out there and die, bro.
I knew for sure this was gunshots, but I had no idea where they were coming from.
Who you smoking on, man? I'm on live right now, man. Who you smoking on, man? Who you smoking on from the rack, man? What'd you say? What'd you say? They can't hear you, folk.
Duck, duck.
Duck, duck. You smoking that duck, duck. Quack, quack. Duck, duck, quack, quack.
What makes many confused is whether Devin, also known as Day Day, was Duck's friend, enemy or fan. Duck's mother said in the interview with Vlad that Day Day was a fan that wanted to take a picture with FBG Duck, and that he was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. This may very well be true, but Day Day is actually close to Moo Wop from a block. Some even said they were cousins, and that he was the brother of Duck's girlfriend. There is a theory that Day Day walked up to Duck, and when Duck saw the two cars pulling up, he started shooting Day Day multiple times. His gun then jammed, and he was shot dozens of times by the people from the car. There is a witness who supports this theory. He saw two men talking, and suddenly they started shooting at each other. I don't think Moo Wop would have shot one of his own, so it makes sense if Duck started shooting him. So what many believe is that Day Day was setting up Duck to be killed. This theory may be completely false, but I still want to tell it. However, police believe that either Duck, or the girl, live streamed on Instagram, and that's how O Block got the drop on him. Either way, somehow O Block got the drop on him, because you don't go lurking in downtown Chicago, in two cars filled with automatic weapons, without knowing that someone is there. After murdering Duck, the O Block shorties went back to Parkway Gardens, and started celebrating. When you looked at the stories from that evening and night, they were playing When We Shoot by Lil Durk loud outside on the block. Meanwhile, the police came out in big numbers immediately after the murder. They parked a dozen police cars on King Drive and around Parkway Gardens to prevent an immediate retaliation. They were also going out with alerts, warning kids, families and others to stay inside. Parkway Gardens is still crowded with cops, even more now after King Von got killed. I can assure you that STL/EBT, Jaro and Mob have spotters out to see if the police cars are leaving or not. Either way, the police cars cannot stay there forever. Duck's mother has begged that Duck's side won't try to get revenge. After the murder of Duck, O Block,
I know she had ties between maybe both sides or so, but her plea, that is not gonna stop anybody from either side making a move. Like, I don't see it. I've heard a bunch of people, you know what I'm saying, plead on this, that, and the third, and this shit still happen. I don't know though. We'll see.
600, DHF, Front Street, of course started to mock him on social media and in songs. King Von was trolling on Twitter, where he said that him and Duck was cool, and that him and Duck had a song together. He also trolled recently in an interview with DJ Academics, where he was asked how he felt after Duck got killed. He said that it hurt, and could not even go to sleep at night. Seconds later he put the phone down and started laughing.
So, were you saddened by the news that he was murdered then?
Man, that shit hurt. I didn't go to sleep that night. Can't believe that shit. Hold on, man. Oh, let's talk about some other shit.
Shit.
This was the story of FBG Duck, aka Big Clout. Thank you for watching. Rest in peace to two Chicago legends, FBG Duck and King Von.
this shit is wild. No matter what part I watch it from, all these stories is wild as shit. Like I said, I ain't take no sides of nobody, because I don't know who the fuck started what from where. You know what I mean? It's just the stories. It's like the more you watch, you be like, what the fuck? You was always walking on eggshells or some shit. Like these motherfuckers never really had. Like he said, he stayed up the whole night. Why you think? Because he think it's somebody about to come after them, or somebody know that he has something to do with it one way or another. Like this shit right here was like, they don't get no fuck. But anyway, y'all leave y'all comments. I'm out.